This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, and keep it all together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the US suffer from depression every year, and it's often undiagnosed. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it so you can be at your best for yourself and everyone in your life. If you're a man and you're feeling the weight of the world, talk to someone, a friend, a loved one, a therapist. If you are a regular listener to Ratchet and Respectable, you know that I am a huge advocate for therapy. I think everyone needs some, even men. Therapy is good for you, I promise. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works. BetterHelp has an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client reviews. And what I love most about BetterHelp, it's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time. I love how easy BetterHelp makes it to get professional help. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/ratchet. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ratchet.
Saturday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Saturday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Saturday. Saturday, bring it on.
Mic check, 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. Happy Pride! I have been gallivanting for a week straight, and the kickoff to it was the Black and Iconic Gala in D.C., not this past weekend, the weekend before. That's how long I've been on this. BET has been throwing this huge gala to celebrate the LGBT community for the last 3 years. They usually do it in Atlanta, and they moved it to D.C. this year. And one of my friends was a presenter at the award show. He also had a table. David Johns, Dr. David Johns. I talk about him a lot on here. He's been on the show before. It's been a while. He had a table, so he invited me to come. It was wonderful. It was at the Mellon Auditorium in D.C. I've been there for a bunch of fancy events, usually CBC stuff. I want to say Cedric Richmond, when he was still in Congress, they used to throw a party there. It holds easily a few thousand people. Was it T.I., Juvie? It's also open bar. Things get a little hazy. It was a CBC a while ago, but it is one of the best parties that I ever went to. It's just a big, fancy, sexy place. It's got all the columns and like all the fancy plaster everywhere. It's just a really gorgeous old building that looks like money. And then the decor was like everything. And the gift bags, they had Sheila Bridges cups in the gift bags. And I was like, oh yes, whoever produced this, you let them produce it next time and the time after that too. It looked like money. It was good. They served crab cakes for dinner because, DC. Avery Wilson was one of the performers. You know how obsessed I am with him. I was late to the Avery Wilson bandwagon. I didn't know who he was until he was part of the Babyface Tiny Desk. He sang the Tevin Campbell part. He opened his mouth for that second verse, and I was like, wait. Who this? He's a beautiful man. Like, he is a stunning physical specimen who spent good money on his teeth. Like, they are perfect. And then that voice, like, he is just a full package of man. He got a man, too. A cute man. But good for Avery. He did like a mini concert. They did what they were supposed to do with the budget that was available. Money that was spent well. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. If you got it, however much you got, spend it well. Spend it wisely. I thought that was done. It was very beautiful. It airs on BET Plus. This is not a plug or a commercial. It was just a really good time, and I want to tell people about it. My buddy, my friend, my love, Scott Evans, my eternal Gala Kiki partner, but he was presenting, actually hosting, excuse me. So he was working, so I couldn't go properly kiki with them. He also had, his mama was his date. At this point, I've met his mama and his grandfather. I ran into him at the White House. His grandfather was there with him. His grandfather had to be like conservatively in his late 80s, but more likely in his 90s. I'm talking to granddaddy, and I said, oh, is this your first time at the White House? I got this vision in my head. His grandson is bringing him to the White House for the first time. And he was like, no, I went to Howard. I used to be over here all the time. I love the elders. I love the elders. And then David threw a really beautiful brunch the following day at Joe's. You know, Joe's Seafood is like one of my favorite places. It's like a DC institution. It's a great happy hour. A bunch of people who were at the event the night before, some people who were honored, were there. It was just a really beautiful room. It was like 25 people. We literally went around the room one by one, talked about our projects and our passions, and we could, connect and build and kiki and all of those things. It was really just like a gorgeous room, a gorgeous time, gorgeous people, I'm very thankful for the spaces that I get to be in. I don't take it for granted. And then I went to New York over the weekend. I actually went up to Jersey first. I have an interior designer for my house. I don't have time right now to like properly decorate this place, but I want it to look a certain way. So I've hired a professional to go ahead and do that for me. So I drove up to Jersey to meet with her so we could just sit down face to face for just a few hours and figure out like, what this house is supposed to look like, what my routines are and where I will work. She's so sweet. She keeps trying to add storage. And I was like, storage for what? I've been living out of 3 suitcases for the last 3 years. And before that, I lived in 2 different studio apartments. All the stuff that I had, I left in New York in 2017. When I say I nuke bombed my life and was like, I'm just going to start over from scratch. I did. Like I left most of my furniture and most of my clothes and most of my stuff. I took the bags. I ain't leave the bags. I don't really have stuff like the way people think I do. I'll get furniture, but I was like, the idea is not to just randomly acquire stuff just to have stuff. I don't like clutter or just having a bunch of stuff, to be quite honest. But we sat down for a few hours and we, figured out at least what the kitchen is going to look like. That's half the battle. My closet, she was like, what kind of closets do you want? And I was like, the ones Carrie Bradshaw had, which also happened to be the same closet that my grandmother had. I made my mother sketch out what my grandmother's closet used to look like because I vaguely remembered it. I didn't remember like where all the drawers and the cabinets and all that stuff were. I had my mom sketch out her mother's closet, the house she grew up in. And I was like, so yeah, I want this. Make me that. I'm literally turning my apartment back into how it probably would have looked when it was built in like the 1920s. The goal is to live, this sounds so crazy, like it's the Harlem Renaissance. I'm obsessed with that time period. 1920s to 1940s is my favorite Black artistic time period. And then I just ran all over New York. There's so much Black excellence happening in the city right now. I went to the Met. I keep calling it the Black Dandy exhibition. The Met Gala, it was a fundraiser for, is it Superfine? Is that what they're calling the exhibition? I went to see that because it's all Black men. Absolutely amazing. Lots of obviously fashion, but also like history of fashion. They also do really well with talking about like Black men's fashion in the diaspora. There's like a whole wall and change just to talk about Haiti. There's stuff about British designers. They went back to the 40s and got these amazing film clips of Black men dancing. And it was one of the most amazing dance sequences I had ever seen. They only had like maybe 30 seconds or so of it. And I had to go look up the whole thing because I was like, what are my eyes seeing? Like, I can't even process what's happening. It's from a movie called Carolina Blues. The routine is called Mr. BB. And it features Four Step Brothers. I'm not familiar with them as a dance group, but they danced their ass off. And then Harold Nicholas, who was part of the Nicholas Brothers. Just go to YouTube and Google it. It is one of the most amazing dance sequences I've ever seen. It's like 7 minutes long. I just kept watching it over and over and over. And I was like, oh, this is where James Brown got it from. And then also, oh, this is where Eddie Murphy came up with Harlem Nights. I was like, oh, that's the Della Reese character. And that's the Eddie Murphy character. And that's the Red Fox character. That's the Jasmine Guy character. Like, oh, okay. It's very rarely you can so obviously see like one inspiration point to another, but it was amazing. It was so amazing. Oh, lots of nods, I would say, to Andre Leon Talley. They have a recreation of one of the caftans that he used to wear. And then they also had his ALT Louis Vuitton luggage. They had that on display as well. I appreciate there was a nod to him. I mean, given how he, inspired essentially like the whole thing, they ain't do right by him in life. The least they could do, is do right by him in death. It's a really good exhibition. I could literally do a whole podcast episode on the exhibition. And I liked it so much that I bought the book, the $75 coffee table book, and thought it was worth it because it was so good. Like I took a bunch of pictures and video and all of that, but I really wanted to just capture the moment. And then I went next door to see John Singer Sargent, his work while he was in Paris. Sargent is my favorite painter of all time, so I was in heaven. He can do landscapes, he can do flowers, he can do anything. But what he specialized in was Parisians, basically French socialites. But he did American ones too. I'm in it for the gowns. He's very popular, like 1880s, 1890s. Literally the same time as the Gilded Age on HBO, which is coming back. Did you see the trailer? The trailer just dropped, I want to say earlier today. It is so good. Oh my God. And then one of the ads for it is Peggy, our Peggy, hugged up on some man. She's not really hugged up on him. She's dancing with him. But they barely have enough room for Jesus. I was like, Peggy, who this man? You ain't had no man last season. Now you in the ads hugged up on a man? Who this man? So I'm looking forward to that show coming back. And Felicia Rashad. Claire Huxtable. Everybody who listens isn't in America. That's why I clarified. She joined the cast. She's in the ad too. So I was like, I guess that means she has a prominent role. In one of the clips, she's sternly speaking to Peggy. She said when she was coming up, her aspiration was to be a wife and a mother. She's talking to Peggy in the 1880s. She said, it looks like that, that's not what women want anymore. And she says it, in a very deriding sort of way. And Peggy responds that she absolutely wants to be a wife and a mother, but she also wants more. I was like, oh, Peggy, dear, how you have no idea that 120 years from now, women will still be penalized for wanting more. But yeah, I can't wait to see Gilded Age. Cannot wait. It's back on June 22nd. What else? At the Met, they had Lorna Simpson. Lorna Simpson did a collaboration with Essence and Rihanna for a cover when Corey Murray was the editorial director. That cover went on to win a very prestigious magazine award. And then also it's on display in the National Museum of African American History, the Blacksonian. And then also, additionally, it is now on display at the Met in the Lorna Simpson exhibit. That specifically went, obviously because I wanted to see like the Lorna Simpson sketches, but also because I heard that the Essence cover was in there. They don't have the full cover. They just have the image of Rihanna on the Essence cover. They don't actually have the Essence cover, which I was like, put the cover in there. You leave Essence, you can move on to other jobs, other work, but you don't ever really like leave Essence. It's like the closest thing I can imagine to being in a sorority, because I'm not in a sorority. Although the Jersey people recruiting real hard. I'm just like, I went to see Gypsy, Audra McDonald. Fucking amazing. It's nominated, I want to say, for 5 different Tonys. And I was like, that's it? The nominations include Best Revival of a Musical, Best Lead Actress in a Musical, Best Featured Actor in a Musical, Best Featured Actress in a Musical, and Best Choreography. Obviously, Audra McDonald is Best Lead Actress, but everybody acted their whole ass off. I was trying to get Mom to see it with me. She came up to meet me on Sunday so we could go to Broadway. Dinner and a show, or lunch and a show, is like Mom's favorite thing. But she specifically did not want to see Gypsy. And she was like, I've seen it before, and it was sad. I don't want to see it again. And I was like, is it really that sad? I had no idea what it was about. I just was like, oh, Audra McDonald is in it. I've never seen her on Broadway. I'm going to see Audra on Broadway. I missed her when she did Billie Holiday, and then watched it, I think, on HBO, and was like, oh, I robbed myself. I did no favors to myself missing that performance. I was like, well, I will not miss this one. So I went sight unseen, me and my friend Will, and it was, I have never seen a performance like that in my life. And I do shows. I would do Broadway every once in a while when I lived in New York, but I really got into it when I was living in London because it's just right there and it's cheap as shit. It was so, so good. She does this soliloquy. She was dripping sweat. She was dripping tears. She like shifted her whole body, her whole disposition. Like she poured everything that she had in her. She just poured it all out and left it on the stage. It wasn't even like the finale. Like there was still more show to go. When she finished that song, the whole audience just got up and we gave her a standing ovation and just refused to sit down. She just tried to start talking, keep the play going so we can get out of here on time. People just would not stop clapping. Like she just finally just stood there and like let us get it all out. And then we finally sat down and she just continued on. But I was like, you do this eight times a week? And our tickets were relatively cheap. We were in the 5th row. And my ticket was, I want to say like $216. And I was like, not that I want to, but I gladly would have paid double or more to see that again. Like that's a once in a lifetime or, 8 times a week performance. But oh my God, I might actually go see it again next time I go to New York. I have to go up later this month. It's phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Get thee to see Audra McDonald. We'll talk about the Broadway drama that her name was dragged into. I can't even say that she participated in or that she was even dragged into. I mean, I guess she kind of was because she had to respond to it. But just petty, petty, petty. And then she like saw the petty and upped it. And I was like, I love you. I love everything about Audra McDonald, who is also in Gilded Age. She's Peggy's mom. I love her in Gilded Age too. Amy Sherald is at the Whitney. Amy Sherald, she did Michelle Obama's official portrait, the one where she's gray. So I didn't love the Michelle Obama portrait, which is on display at the Whitney if you haven't seen it. I didn't love the Michelle Obama portrait when it first came out, but as I've become more familiar with Amy Sherald's work and the philosophy behind her work, I have come to appreciate the portrait more. I just wanted Michelle Obama to be brown because, she's the first brown, Black first lady. So I just wanted her official portrait. Don't hide that she's Black. Like, show the brown, show the Black. I mean, not that we all don't know in real life, but I was like, just for posterity, like just show the brown, show the Black. The philosophy, though, behind her gray people is that so much is assigned to Blackness, and she wants you to see the person and not just the Black, which when you start looking at her photos through that lens, it causes you to think about how much politics, stereotype, whatever that we assign to Blackness. So like with Michelle Obama, you don't just look at her and say like, oh, okay, a first lady. There are some first ladies who are very politicized, like a Jackie Kennedy or Eleanor Roosevelt or Hillary Clinton. Do we really have like a strong opinion about Nixon's wife? She was just like, okay, she was a first lady. Or like, I don't know, Lincoln. Lincoln had a wife. Do we ever talk about like Abraham Lincoln's wife? So like Michelle Obama doesn't just get to be a first lady. She's the Black first lady. And then you have all like the stereotypes about her being masculine or her being militant or her arms. Like it's all the crazy shit we put upon Michelle Obama for being the Black first lady as opposed to just the first lady. A whole essay, a long one, could be written about Michelle Obama, her being the first Black first lady as opposed to being just, I don't know, one of, was it 47 first ladies? 46. I'm thinking because Trump was 45 and 47, the same first lady. That's why I'm trying to figure out with the numbers. But that's not an essential detail. Very worth going. It was an extensive exhibition. It's a great video explaining her process, her philosophy. As an artist, she doesn't really care about your praise or your criticism. She just does the work. She reminds me of my best friend. Same complexion. Same artsiness. Mom came up on Sunday. She took the train up. I picked her up and we went uptown to Harlem to go to the Victoria for brunch. She'd only been to Harlem once before. And I had talked about on here, I think, like the Victoria and how like the whole restaurant just broke out into song. Like we were all singing SWV's Week. And Mom was like, I want to go. So we went to Harlem to get catfish and grits. She was very happy. And then she wanted to go by the Louis Vuitton store. Like not even to like go shopping. She just wanted to see. They're doing construction on the Louis Vuitton store. So it still has the scaffolding that looks like black and silver, black and platinum Louis Vuitton luggage. It's really adorable. My mom was like, you should just leave it as is, which I kind of agree. that's become a landmark. Like, whatever they do after this, will it be as fabulous as this? And I was like, I don't know how you top this, because it's pretty fabulous. And then we drove to Midtown and went to see Purpose. That's the one I was saying is directed by Phylicia Rashad. That one has a bunch of nominations, too. 6 nominations. Oh, and the Tony Awards are June 8th this weekend. It's about a Black family, like a prominent Black family who got a bunch of issues that they all decide to hash out one weekend. It's a mess. It's a good mess. I mean, not for the family, but good acting, a good story, well told, lots of drama. Samuel L. Jackson, his wife, Latanya Richardson Jackson. She plays the matriarch. Cara Young was in Pearly Victoria. She got a Tony for that performance. She's really, really good. And then she's also in this as well. She's also nominated for this one, too, as is Latanya Richardson Jackson, as is Glenn Davis. So good. There's some other stuff on Broadway that I want to see. People keep telling me about Death Becomes Her, the one Michelle Williams is in, Destiny's Child Michelle. I have no desire to see that, though. Like, several people who I trust their judgment have told me that it's really, really good, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I like Michelle, too. I just, I don't have the urge. And then, what's the other one? Hell's Kitchen. It's Alicia Keys. I ain't got nothing against Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys actually bought a Belle in Brooklyn at one point. Twice. No, still. There is a show, I want to say it's Nat King Cole. I saw it posted on Nicole Ari Parker's page, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So maybe next time I'm in the city, I'll try to catch that one. I'll let you know. Ew. I watched And Just Like That. You can hear it in my voice. Didn't care for it. I was a huge, huge, huge fan of Sex and the City when it was on the air. And Just Like That, like the reboot, season 1, cool. Season 2, cool enough. Like, there was enough of it that I was looking forward to it. I think Nicole Ari Parker being essentially the Black Carrie Bradshaw, I really love her character. I like Seema, Carrie's new bestie, the Samantha replacement, if you will. There was a Black professor, Naya, that was on season 1 and season 2. She left the show to go star in Forever on Netflix. Good. Because her character on the show, I mean, she was a fine actress on the show, but Forever actually gave her like good meat and bones to work with to really showcase her talent as an actress. I did do the Forever review. I know people don't listen to every episode. Last Wednesday, I talked about Forever with one of the directors from the show. So if you didn't get a chance to check out that conversation, it's one of my favorite episodes because it's one of my favorite shows. Please go do that. But Naya is gone this season. Nicole Ari Parker is the sole Black girl. The storylines just aren't really doing it for me. Seema and her dude, like, okay. So it actually felt like an old Sex and the City episode. It was really about, like, the relationship. Miranda's storyline, it was cool. Aiden and Carrie, even though it's a relationship, it is sex. It does capture the spirit of the premise of the original Sex and the City, and that it's focused on relationships and all that. It's such a bizarre situation that I'm just like, yeah, no. Aiden was trying to do phone sex with Carrie, and it was just awkward and bad and just cringy, and just the only thing I liked about the new episode was Carrie's house, particularly her closet, and then Nicole Ari Parker, which I didn't think was the strongest storyline. It was more about her work than it was about the relationship. Her husband is running for office and he doesn't feel cool. So she's trying to like reassure him. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested in her work. But I was like, like the show is Sex in the City. Like I'm here for like the relationship and the sex drama. And I was just like, this is the best you could do with these two really amazing characters. And then Charlotte, her whole storyline was about that damn dog. And I was like, this the best y'all could do? This is the best y'all could do. Really? Richard Burton. I like Charlotte too, but I was just like, I don't know. It's like the first episode. It's like the season opener. Like I was just expecting more. I'm going to watch it next week because, like I'm invested in the show and the series at this point, but I didn't think it was great. I didn't.
Going up. Prices keep going up these days. It feels like being on an elevator that only goes up. Going up. But not at Metro. We're pushing the down button. Going down. We've lowered prices. Get one line of 5G data for $40, period. That's 20% lower. And you get a free Samsung 5G phone when you bring your number. Only at Metro.
5-year guarantee on eligible plans. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Not available at Metro with T-Mobile in the past 6 months. Tax applies.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
You know what else I didn't think was great? I've watched The Handmaid's Tale. I've invested 8 years of my life into this show. 8 over 6 seasons, 8 years of my life into this show. The show just ended last Tuesday. I didn't talk about it because the time I was recording last week, it wouldn't have been out for 24 hours, and I didn't want to do the spoilers for it. The second to last episode was really, 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 really amazing. Most TV shows do that. Where like The Wire was really good for that. Like the second to last episode of the season, the penultimate episode, is always like something completely insane. And then the actual final episode of the season is sort of like the denouement, like wrapping the whole thing together, like putting a little bow on it, giving you closure. I expected, because the second to last episode was so completely insane, I was like, yo, this is amazing TV. Like you're going out strong after 8 years of investment. And do you know those people finished that damn show and June ain't get that baby back, Hannah? I said something about it online and people were like, but you know, like they're doing a spinoff and Hannah is going to be in the spinoff. And I was like, fuck that spinoff. Fuck that spinoff. The story I invested in initially was Handmaid's Tale. The whole thing with June putting up that bullshit in Gilead and got to Canada and then went back to Gilead, kept going back to Gilead, was to get that baby girl. And they just like never even really gave it like a real closure. They were like, oh, at one point Hannah had been moved off to Colorado, so it seemed like impossible to get her. And in the final episode, they were like, oh, Hannah's family is moving to D.C., so at least she'll be 2,000 miles closer. But I was like, nah, man, nah, you got to give me more than that. After 8 years? 8 years? You want me to wait to a spinoff of the show I just watched for 8 years to find out what happens to that kid? No, give me some closure in the actual story, the original story that I invested in. Don't give me no spinoff. People are like, well, did you read the books? I read the first one. Half the shit that happened over the last 6 seasons ain't in the book. The book is just source material. It is not a mandate that you have to adhere to the books. And people are like, well, what do you want? What do you want? Because if June went and got the girl, then like the spinoff wouldn't work. And I was like, fuck the spinoff. The spinoff is only as strong as the original material. If I invested all this and I don't get a payoff, then why would I keep investing? You could have at least showed me Hannah. Showed them pawning her off to some old man at 13 years old, because that's what they do in Gilead. Just give me something. Show me the girl. Let me see what she looks like. Vanessa Bryant is not pregnant. There was some online rumor, I'm not even quite sure where it came from, that Vanessa Bryant was pregnant, and it was so pervasive that Vanessa Bryant had to actually address it. And I was like, hey, that woman lost her husband and her baby. And y'all giving her grief about anything? That woman should live in perfect peace, unbothered, for the rest of her days. At least from the public. I mean, everybody gonna have their day-to-day issues. I mean, that's just life. But like, the public should not be harassing that woman in any way whatsoever at all, given what she has been through, even before her husband died. I don't want to Gayle King the conversation, but you know, she dealt with a lot from him and his family and the public. People was like, was she shooting with you in the gym? Kobe was like, actually, in fact, yes. She was actually shooting with me in the gym. Is that a Drake line? Vanessa Bryant has put up with so much shit. But there was this pervasive rumor that she was pregnant with her 5th child, and people were raking her over the coals for being pregnant. And I was like, what exactly is the problem? If Vanessa Bryant wanted to be pregnant, then what's the issue? Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, went on to be with the Lord in 2020. That's 5 years ago. I want to say February, March. I remember being at a Grammy luncheon that started maybe like 20 minutes after we heard the plane crash, and everybody was in their phone. Nobody could function because they were just all these rumors. They're like, Rick Fox was on the plane. The whole family was on the plane. Kobe and all the daughters were on the plane. Like, it was crazy. But I was like, that was 5 years ago. Like, If Vanessa Bryant wanted to take up with a new man and then also have a baby, then that is entirely Vanessa Bryant's business, and there should be nothing wrong with that. It's been 5 years. The truth of the matter, the very unfortunate truth of the matter is Kobe Bryant is not coming back. He is deceased. And they were married, and the vows that they took said, until death do us part. He died, y'all. Their marriage has parted. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be honest and like reasonable. It's been 5 years. Like, is Vanessa Bryant supposed to never take up with another man? Is she supposed to never be in a relationship, never love, if she so chooses to be pregnant again because her husband died or because she was married to a superstar? I mean, what? Is she supposed to be practicing like a vow of celibacy? She was 38 when her husband passed. Have you met a woman in their 40s? Kind of feral almost. But is she expected to like never lay with another man? Like, that's ridiculous. And somehow Lauren London got sucked into the conversation. Like, it'd be disrespectful to Nip for her to move on. And I was like, in what world? Nipsey died in 2019. Death is final. The person's not coming back. But people were really going in on Vanessa Bryant. And again, she had to address it. I'm pulling this up on BuzzFeed. It says Vanessa Bryant, who was married to Kobe Bryant for 19 years before his sudden death in February of 2020. BuzzFeed says, quote, it's not exactly clear where the recent pregnancy claims arose from, particularly in light of the fact that Vanessa has not publicly dated anyone since Kobe died. However, the lack of evidence didn't stop people from discussing the rumor on social media. It says on Sunday, the 43-year-old, that would be Vanessa Bryant, posted a meme of Rihanna to her Instagram story. The photograph showed a carefree Rihanna floating in water and flipping off the camera with goggles on her head and a drink in her hand. And the caption read, quote, me protecting my peace, not pregnant, and having fun all summer. Y'all really made this woman address this? You did. Now leave this lady alone. Should she choose to go have a baby, adopt a baby, be with somebody, throw it in a circle like Cardi B on Steffon? Well, that's just her business. Cardi's catching it too, which I was like, are you people on drugs? You must be on drugs. Cardi B and Offset are estranged. They're still legally married. Offset recently asked for spousal support. This nigga. You whored on that lady, y'all's whole marriage. The whole marriage. You got caught cheating on your wife. And this is just the times he got caught. But at least 3 times that the public is aware of. And she finally decided to leave you after the last one while she was pregnant with your child. The child was born in September, and I just remember they weren't together by the time the baby was born. Keep that in mind. September is 9 months ago. Cardi B has just officially popped out with a new dude, like within the last month or so. She posted several pictures of her and her new boo. One of them, she's twerking on him. Steffon Diggs, that's his name. Another one, she's all loved up on him. He sent like a ton of roses. It was a gigantic heart made out of roses. It was beautiful. A pool full of roses, dozens upon dozens of roses. The man must have spent like a good $100,000 on roses. That's her new man. They were out at a basketball game, and I saw pictures of them maybe like a week ago or so. And then, yesterday, June 1st. I don't know if it was the same day that Offset asked for spousal support. It's not so long after. Let's see. There's literally a story that just went up on TMZ while I've been recording. The headline is, Offset's cheating was gonna make me strangle him. It says, Cardi B posts emotional recording about trauma. Apparently, Cardi has insomnia and she likes to go on X Spaces and just like talk and talk and talk. So they said early Tuesday morning, she was online venting to her fans about how much trauma Offset caused over the last few years. And she said, had she not left him, she would have been in jail for murder. And TMZ describes Cardi as, you can hear her fighting through tears. She says Offset cheated and lied so much, she'd wake up in fear over being looped into another embarrassing trending topic. And she also blames him for giving her female hip-hop competition ammunition by sharing his goods all across the music industry. She also blasted, she says, the male haters who called her a hoe. She says that she was married for 7 years and she held up her end of the faithfulness. TMZ also notes that Offset debuted a new woman sometime in January. Cardi says she woke up after New Year's Eve and saw the betrayal online just like everybody else. That's why it's so crazy to me that like men are like going off on Cardi for like posting Steffon Diggs and throwing it in a circle and all of that. I'll read you a little bit of what I saw earlier today. Not too much, just a little bit. But Cardi says now with Steffon that she's the happiest she's been in a long time and all the boxes are getting checked. She just needs Offset to sign off on that divorce. Couple things. Steffon Diggs, by nearly all accounts, is another version of Offset. Apparently, there's some video that his teammates did. It wasn't specifically about him, but it ended up being about him. Somebody was asking his teammates on camera, if you had a sister, who on the team would you never allow her to date? And multiple people from the team were like, Steffon. There's also a video circulating recently. He's on a boat. He's got 3 women like all up in his face. I think they're calling him daddy. And people were like, hey, like you're supposed to be with Cardi and you're already cheating on her. Come to find out, Cardi was also on the boat. Oh, and he also allegedly has a newborn. This woman named, was it Laura Giselle? Oh dear. I don't understand. Cardi says she's happy. I'm just glad she got away from Offset. She was in a loop with him and she seemed very in denial about who actually he was. I remember early on in their relationship, I think the first time he was publicly known to have cheated on her. And, he put up a video like apologizing to Cardi. And then there was an incident. She was performing somewhere and he came and interrupted her set. He came on stage with a bunch of flowers and he was apologizing to her again. And he wanted Cardi to take him back. And, people in the comment section, every time Cardi would post, they were like, take him back. Like celebrities got involved in it. And I was like, this is so abusive and manipulative. You cheated on this woman, embarrassed this woman. I think they just had 1 kid together at the time. And I was like, she needs to get out now because this doesn't get any better. There's a type of dude that shows up to your job. He's performing a public apology. You wouldn't have to do this had you not cheated on her. And I remember people called me all sorts of names. They were like, oh, you're such a hater. You couldn't keep your own marriage together. So now you're trying to ruin somebody else's. And, people make mistakes and she needs to forgive him. And I was like, yeah, y'all can say whatever the fuck you want. I know nigga shit. I live with nigga shit. I recognize nigga shit. You can't say the woman didn't try. Cardi tried to keep that marriage together. She forgave him multiple times that we saw in public. We don't even know about the shit behind the scenes, but the stuff that we do know about, the stuff that made it to the public was bad enough. I'm glad that she's finally out of the loop because they were in a cycle of dysfunction. I'm glad that she seems to have broken that cycle, even if she's moved on to somebody else who people are like, hey, he ain't shit either. Maybe he ain't, but at least he ain't Offset. Dating dysfunction is much different than being married to dysfunction. And I feel that people are like, hey, dysfunction is dysfunction. Being legally bound to dysfunction is much different than being not legally bound to dysfunction. Trust me. Also, too, people are talking about Offset asking Cardi for spousal support. Yeah, he's fucking with her because he can. It just is a general observation. Men tend to get pissed when you leave them. They'll do everything to disrespect you, to make you go. When you ultimately decide, I can't do this bullshit no more and leave, they go nuts. So many women have a version of this story, self-included. I think partially Offset is asking her for spousal support because he's trying to hit her where he knows it'll hurt. But also, Offset has severe financial issues. According to Jasmine Brand, I know Jasmine, she's a DC girl. According to Jasmine Brand, Offset has a tax debt of nearly $2 million. The IRS filed a tax lien for over $1.5 million of unpaid federal taxes for 2021. The Georgia Department of Revenue also filed a state tax lien, which has grown to almost $295,000 due to interest, penalties, and fees. Here's a couple things that people should know about the IRS. It takes them a while to get around to back year's taxes. But when they realize, hey, you haven't paid your taxes, they send you letters saying that, hey, you haven't paid. They'll go ahead and file a tax return on your behalf. You didn't do what you were supposed to do, so they'll file it for you, and they file it with no deductions. And they send you that number and say, hey, this is what we calculated as the tax that you owe. And so if you don't file an actual tax return of your own, then this is the number that you're going to have to pay. And by the way, we've included all the penalties for not filing and for not paying. which continue to accrue, I think it's daily. They give you 50 million opportunities to pay. I think the final one is at this number. You get 6 additional months to pay it in full. If you sign an agreement to pay off the amount in 6 months, it stops accruing the penalties and interest as long as you pay it off within that 6-month date. So you can kind of freeze it at any time just by responding and working with the IRS. To get to the point where it's a tax lien means that you've ignored all of the notices, that you haven't tried to put anything on it. You haven't called the IRS. You just basically been an asshole about the whole thing. That's when they eventually file a tax lien, and that's how this sort of information goes out to the public. I'm also going to go ahead and guess if they're going after him for 2021, he probably also hasn't filed for 2022, 2023, or 2024. 2001 taxes would have been due in 2022. So he's had 3 years to pay the taxes. The IRS has probably been on his ass on the low end, 6 months or so. And he hasn't done anything to keep the IRS and the state of Georgia from putting a lien on his shit. He don't have the money. He doesn't have the $295,000 to pay the state of Georgia, or he would do it to keep them from filing a tax lien, because that fucks up your money. He don't have it. So people be like, oh my God, I can't believe he's asking her for spousal support. Sure, it's to be petty, but also he ain't got the money. I hope they didn't file jointly. Also, for the folks who be like, Demetria, how do you know all this shit? You know Mama's an accountant, right? One of the places she used to work, the IRS. Baby, he ain't got it. So not only is he a fuck nigga, he a broke fuck nigga. Shame. Oh, and I'm a complete hypocrite, just FYI. Remember last episode, I was like, Remy and Papoose, I wish they would take this off the internet. This is just not the place for it. They need to take this shit into the group chat. And previously, I've said this about Cardi and Offset. I might have actually referenced them when I was talking about Remy last week. Look, Cardi and this new man and these flowers and her twerking and throwing it in a circle, all of that, I am completely and utterly invested. Plus, her man is as petty as she is and as petty as Offset is. Offset posted something about throwing the ball away, something like that. And then Steffon responded. He posted a picture of, he's a football player. He posted a picture of, catching the ball. So I'm like, you threw it away and I caught it, nigga. I was like, these people are petty as shit and I love it. And it's getting all up under Offset's skin. Cardi posted a picture. I guess Steffon and her son, Wave, they have the same cornrow pattern. And it's an old picture of Wave. I was reading that Wave actually has locks now. But Steffon went and got the same cornrow pattern as Cardi's son. And Offset apparently lost it. He posted and deleted, but not before somebody got a screenshot of it. He wrote, quote, now when somebody die for playing with my son, then called me to crash out. I don't care how I look. Trolling with my kid ends bad. Sir, you did this to yourself. Had you been a faithful husband and kept your marriage intact, you wouldn't have to worry about a young nigga and your son having the same cornrow pattern. Now you sitting on the internet threatening people over some braids. You know Cardi gonna screenshot that and submit it in court, right? Where are the lawyers? This man online, that's what I was saying. I was like, men are crashing out about Cardi moving on. This guy was like, she didn't have to do him like that. Your old song cry ass. I was just fucking them girls. I was gonna get right back. You ain't have to do a nigga like that. Fuck you. His name is Another Level CEO. What does dude say? He said, Cardi B bossed up. And I respect that. But can we talk about tact for a second? No, we can't. No, we cannot talk about tact. He said, what happened to leaving gracefully? Why? Do men treat you better if you leave gracefully? No. Not saying don't have fun. Not saying Offset didn't deserve it. What are you saying? He says, but twerking on Steffon Diggs on a boat right after a breakup, the breakup that happened over 9 months ago, that breakup, and then Offset was with a new chick in January? He said, they got kids. They're public figures. That just don't look good. You know what also didn't look good? Offset repeatedly cheating on his wife. I wonder if this same guy made posts about that. Like, did you criticize Offset for publicly embarrassing himself and his wife and his family? Just curious. He may have. I don't know. The guy wraps it up. He says, if you don't respect my presence, you'll have to respect my absence, but with grace. I don't even know what that means. No, she doesn't respect his presence. That's why she filed for divorce. And no, I don't think she respects his absence or cares about his grace. I think what she cares about is throwing it in a circle on his new nigga. I'm using his commentary as an example. It's far from the only person online who's been critical of Cardi, posting Steffon or twerking on him or any of that stuff. It's like this weird expectation that like women are supposed to, even the same thing with Vanessa Bryant. Like it's been over 5 years and you expect her to not move on? Cardi's husband, we all are fully aware of this because it was very, very public, cheated on her multiple times. You went and begged that lady, made videos about that lady, interrupted that lady's set when she was working to beg her to take you back, only to just go cheat on her again a couple years later while she was carrying the second baby, asking her to have tact. When did he ever have tact? Cardi at least waited until divorce papers were actually filed. That's far more than her husband did. I'm saying husband because he still is her husband. They're estranged, but they are still legally married. There is no divorce decree at this time. This man is saying have tact. For a man who cheated on a woman continuously, repeatedly, and publicly, have tact about the way you behave after you leave him. For what? Halle Bailey has tact. Halle Bailey filed a restraining order against DDG. We only know about it because it's a public document. She hasn't been online talking about DDG. She hasn't been posted up with a new man. Allegedly, she was on vacation with somebody else, but Halle didn't tell us that. Halle didn't post about it. And she swears up and down she was there with her sister and a friend, not the guy. If, in fact, she has moved on and is with somebody else, has Halle having tact spared her from being dragged on the internet? No. So have tact for what? You have tact because you want to personally have it? Sure. Have tact for the respectability politics of it all? It don't get you a damn thing. You get called a bitch and a hoe either way. Like they got kids. He had kids when he was cheating on the kid's mama. There didn't seem to be much concern about that. They're public figures. He met up with his ex, I want to say like at a casino or something, and somebody had video, and he was like, oh, we just happened to be there at the same time? Nigga. Ugh.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Do we have anything else to talk about? Oh, yes, the Broadway drama. I was going to try to get some Diddy into this episode because I really don't want to record 2 separate episodes, but it looks like I'm going to have to do that. Damn it. What is this lady's name? Patti Lupone did an interview with The New Yorker. She's a Broadway legend. The New Yorker refers to her as the 76-year-old theater diva, famed and feared for her salty bravado, dishes on one of the things, her non-friendship with Audra McDonald. She's featured on the upcoming season of And Just Like That. Oh, this is a really long article. I'm not reading all this shit. I just care about her comments. About Keisha Lewis. She's an actress in Hell's Kitchen. And then also Audra McDonald. Let me search real quick. They're talking about her battles, her Broadway beefs, if you will, behind the scenes. The New Yorker calls them battles that were unrelenting. There was something about her and Mia Farrow, blah, blah, blah. Another one. When Patti was doing The Roommate, it shared a wall with a neighboring show, Hell's Kitchen, and the sound would bleed through the wall. Patti says at her stage manager's suggestion, she called the head of the Schubert organization, one of the theaters, and asked him if he could fix the noise problem. She says once it was taken care of, she sent thank you flowers to the musical's crew. She said she was surprised when Keisha Lewis posted a video on Instagram speaking as one quote-unquote veteran to another and called Patti's actions bullying, racially microaggressive, and rooted in privilege because she had labeled, quote, a black show as loud. The reporter brings up this incident to Patti, to which she responds, oh my God. She says, here's the problem. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows she has done because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Patti says she Googled. She's done 7. I've done 31. Don't call yourself a vet, bitch. The New Yorker notes that the correct numbers are actually 10 and 28, but who's counting? Patti explained of the noise problem, it's not unusual on Broadway. This happens all the time when walls are shared. The New Yorker, because they messy too, they mentioned to Patti about this incident that Audra McDonald had seen the video and had posted emojis in support of the video, to which Patti responds, "Exactly," she said, she being Patti. And Patti says she thought you should know better. She says that's typical of Audra. She's not a friend. Hard D. What does that mean? She's not a friend. What's the difference between friend and friend? Patti says that the two singers, she and Audra, had some long ago rift, but she didn't want to elaborate. The New Yorker asked Patti what she thought of McDonald's current production, Gypsy. The reporter said Patti stared at me in silence for 15 seconds. Then she turned to the window and sighed, "What a beautiful day." So she talks about a lot of people, but she reserves most of her pettiness and her name calling for these two Black actresses. She's in full-on Broadway diva mode, but she's also like in pure bitch mode. And she started getting dragged for it. Initially, she didn't care. Broadway responded to Patti's comments with, I'm reading this on page 6. It says over 500 Broadway artists issue scathing response to Patti Lupone's unacceptable insults. Oh dear. It was an open letter reprimanding Patti for being a quote and unquote bully and signed by many. The open letter is addressed to powerful organizations, including the Broadway League and the American Theater Wing, as well as the greater theater community. And part of it reads, Patti Lupone made deeply inappropriate and unacceptable public comments about two of Broadway's most respected and beloved artists. They said her comments were, quote, degrading and misogynistic and a blatant act of racialized disrespect. It constitutes bullying. It constitutes harassment. It is emblematic of the microaggressions and abuse that people in this industry have endured for far too long, too often without consequence. They said that Patti's comments are, quote, a public affront to the values of collaboration, equity, and mutual respect embraced by the theater community. They said on Broadway, there's been, quote, a persistent failure to hold people accountable for violent, disrespectful, or harmful behavior, especially when they are powerful or well-known. This is not about differing opinions. It is about public actions that demean, intimidate, or perpetuate violence against fellow artists. This is the last part of the letter I'm going to read. They continue, we will no longer tolerate violence, verbal, emotional, or physical, against artists within our own community. If our industry is truly committed to equity, justice, and respect, then those values must be applied consistently, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Wendell Pierce is one of the people that signed. I talked about him on a previous episode about how wonderful and lovely he is and is. In the midst of this, a couple things happen. One of them, Time magazine drops its new cover. Audra McDonald is on the cover where she's listed as, hold on, I want to make sure I get this right. Oh, there's a pre-order for the magazine. That's good because I want a copy. Where she's listed as Broadway's greatest. Gypsy star Audra McDonald. The cover photo is absolutely stunning. The inside images are absolutely stunning. The timing of this cover, you know how people be like, God's time. Wait on God's time? This cover could not have dropped at any better time. And I was like, this should be Audra McDonald's complete response to anything from that Patti Lupone had to say about her. You're over here crying to New Yorker about petty squabbles. Meanwhile, Audra McDonald is on the cover of Time, being called Broadway's greatest. One of these things is not like the other. Audra did actually address it. When I heard about the interview, I was like, I don't like it. She shouldn't have said anything. She handled it very beautifully. Audra McDonald went and talked to Gayle King. Of course, Gayle King brought up Patti Lupone's interview where she says Audra McDonald is not a friend. She handled it so beautifully. She handled it in a very Claire Huxtable-esque kind of way, I thought. She had her beautiful glasses on. Her hair was laid. Her makeup was beautiful. She had a little smile on her face. Some people were mad at Gayle for asking. I'm like, literally, it's the job. If you're sitting down to do an interview with somebody and you're in the midst of a public back and forth, or someone has, in this case, not even a back and forth, but there's some controversy, some controversial remarks that someone has said about you, even if you have not responded, they're going to ask you about it. Even if your response is no response, like literally the job is to ask the questions that the people at home want to know. Like when you have a microphone and you are sitting with someone who is of public note, You were the person with access. And so you, on behalf of the people who were watching, the audience, you were to ask the questions that they would want to ask if they were in the room with you. So she asked Audra, she says, Patti Lupone, she said these things about you. And like, what do you have to say in response to that? And Audra, she just very casually, she said, if there's a rift between us, I don't know what it is. She said she was surprised by Lupone's comments. And she said, really, like, to get to the bottom of this is something that you have to ask Patti about. Because, I haven't seen her in about 11 years just because we've been busy just with life. So I don't know what she's talking about. So you would have to ask her. I thought it was brilliant. I don't know if Audra came up with that response. If the PR team that she employs came up with that response, give them dinner and a bonus, because it's a lovely response. Basically, why are you asking me? And also, the best part, it's been 11 years. I haven't seen her in 11 years. So whatever she's going on about in the New Yorker, it's been 11 fucking years since I've seen this woman. She talking about vintage tea. That's more than a triple pour. That tea is dusty and molded. Why is it even still in the cabinet? You think about some shit from 11 years ago and you think about it so hard that you gonna go drag me in the New Yorker over it? Oh, ma'am. Oh, ma'am. She calls her on her petty in the pettiest of ways, but also in the classiest of ways. Remember the man was talking about Cardi and he was like, where's the tact? This was an act of tact. It was lovely. And she does it with such a smile on her face. I'm watching it on Instagram on CBS Mornings, and CBS does note, they say this interview was scheduled before actress Patti Lupone made headlines in a New Yorker article where she made eyebrow-raising comments about fellow Broadway stars, including Audra McDonald. So we asked Audra for her thoughts. I mean, Audra's show was just nominated for all these Tonys, so obviously she's doing the interview rounds. And that's also why the New Yorker was probably doing the interview on Patti, because the Tonys are coming up. So you do the interviews with the big actresses. Messy. And Audra just looks so beautiful here. She got a whole bunch of hair on her head. It looks like her hair. You know how Oprah, when Oprah has her hair down? Actually, I'm pretty positive it's her hair. Let me watch it again. If it's not her hair, it's definitely not a lace front. Those are her actual edges. But if that's not her hair, I need to know where that hair is from. Is that like Peruvian? Brazilian? It looks good. It's laid right, too. That's not a wig. At best, it's bundles. It looks good, child. It looks like her hair. It looks like she has a perm. Now, that's definitely not Gail's hair. I don't know why Gail wear these wigs. You got good money. I know you got good money. And your bestie be getting her hair done right. You can't get some of Oprah's hair? I mean, not Oprah's actual hair, but where Oprah adds some pieces sometimes. Or whoever's doing Oprah's hair can get you a wig. Audra looks like this is just a perm. No, I'm watching Audra shake her hair. The movement of this hair, that's black hair stretched out. She got some good hair. And I ain't saying because it's like silky and shit. I'm just saying like it's a good head of hair. Like it's healthy. It's got movement. It's got body. One of my friends calls it wife hair. We have one more piece to talk about with the same damn story. Patti got dragged. I'm reading this on The Hollywood Reporter. This is so caring of her. It says, Patti Lupone apologizes for interview comments about Keisha Lewis, Audra McDonald. Quote, I am devastated. Ma'am, don't nobody care about your damn devastation. You caused the drama. You are the drama. She said, for as long as I have worked in theater, I have spoken my mind and never apologized. That is changing today. I am deeply sorry for the words I used during the New Yorker interview, particularly about Keisha Lewis, which were demeaning and disrespectful. She posted this on Instagram. She added, quote, I regret my flippant and emotional responses during this interview, which were inappropriate, and I am devastated that my behavior has offended others and has run counter to what we hold dear in this community. I hope I have the chance to speak to Audra and Keisha personally to offer my sincere apologies. She also addressed the open letter that was written. She said, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that was shared yesterday. She says, from middle school drama clubs to professional stages, theater has always been about lifting each other up and welcoming those who feel they don't belong anywhere else. I made a mistake. No, you did that shit intentionally. I'll just read what she said. She said, quote, I made a mistake. I take full responsibility for it, and I am committed to making this right. Our entire theater community deserves better. No, you said what you said. You said it and you meant it. You said it with your whole chest to a reporter while they were recording. You meant that shit. You just didn't expect to get called out the way you did. That's what you're apologizing for. I'm so tired of white women and this Karen and shit. All right. That's the episode. Damn it, I thought we'd be able to get Diddy in here. I gotta do a separate episode for Diddy. It is what it is. It is what it is. We'll talk probably sooner than later. I have to get another Diddy episode in this week. Because if I wait too long, it's too long to wait. At the end of the day gotta end. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon. I don't know when, but soon. Before next Wednesday. All right. Bye.